are going to discuss about nursing research. So in this first part is research process. So before going to see about the research process, we have to know what is the relation between nursing and research. So for that, I am going to explain a brief about nursing.
So nursing is an art because it is composed of skills that require expertise and proficiency for their competent education. So definitely in a nursing, the expertise and proficiency is there while doing the procedures, and the skills is modified. So day by day the skills are improving. So wise they may be becoming expertise. So the nursing is an art, and also it is a science because science needs a systemized knowledge which will be derived or which will be got from this observation, critical thinking, problem solving, decision making, and some studies or researchers. So again, for the nursing, the gaining of knowledge is having much importance. So wise it is a science. Next one is nursing as the oldest but evolving profession. Yes, nursing is the oldest profession from the time of Second World War. That is, during the Crimean World War only our Florence Nightingale is coming into the scenario, and from her period onwards the modern nursing have evolved, and it is an evolving profession. From that period of Florence Nightingale till now, so many changes have occurred in our profession. So wise it is the oldest but evolving profession. And next one is nursing as a challenging field. Definitely nursing is a challenging field. So many issues are there, and nurses, as a nurses, so many challenges is coming across our lives. Even though we will be as a challenging mind, with the challenging mind we will be dealing all those issues. For example, in last year we got this Nipah virus, and across the Nipah virus scenario we have fighted a lot, and we have success. We have achieved our success. And also nowadays we are struggling with our COVID-19 duties, and it will be every time whenever any condition is arriving, the nurses are getting more strain and stress. So nursing is a challenging field. So if a profession has to have a growth in the sense, the professional growth in the sense, it should have some knowledge updation. So knowledge is necessary for the professional growth, or to maintain the professionalism. Updation of knowledge is necessary. So what are methods to get the knowledge that we are going to discuss here? So the methods are mainly unstructured method and structured method. So first method is unstructured method. In the unstructured method, they will be having other types, other methods to gain the knowledge, that is tradition, authority, intuition, experience, and trial and error. So tradition, in the case of tradition, what is happening? Traditionally what is transmitting, or from one generation what is transmitting to the another generation, from senior what is getting to the junior. So in the case of nursing also will be getting knowledge from the seniors, or the seniors are the main hands who is making the juniors being perfect. But even though they may not be having any scientific proof, they are not giving any certificates for that. So wise this tradition may not be able to be told as a good method. And next one is authority. In the case of authority, the experts are playing here. Only the experts will be taking decisions, and they may not be having well versed with every situation. So some authority will be thought that this method of procedures is good, but in another hospital or another authority will be thinking that another way of method is good. So authority also, according to the authority or according to the personal differences, the authority also is having change in the decisions. Then next one is intuition. In the case of intuition, that is a kind of mental feeling. So for example, when we are treating a patient and we will be feeling that this patient is very getting cured soon, likewise internally will be getting some ideas, that is known as intuition. So here also for getting intuition also will not be having any kind of evidences. So we may be thinking a procedure in this way it is practicing, it may be good, well and good, and the patient may not be getting that much strain, but it is not having any kind of basis. So wise intuition cannot be able to considered. The next one is experience. Experience is a good method of gaining knowledge, but experience matters. So one person will be taken this experience in a positive way, but in the same time the same kind of experience will be taken by the other person in a negative way. So they may be having change in the perception of the experience. So according to these personal differences, this experience also will be differs, and also it may not be considered as a good way of gaining knowledge. The next one is trial and error. Trial and error, from the olden days itself, psychologists have proved that for learning, trial and error method is a good thing. Thorndike's theory have proposed the trial and error method by explaining with many of the examples and all. But here in the situation of nurses, we can't able to go with the trial and error because we are playing with the live patients. So in the case of live patients, we should not get any kind of trial time or errors may not be possible. So wise only when you are in the first year, you have practiced almost your procedures in the mannequins, and after completion of your trials and errors, so there only on the mannequins you have allowed to make the errors. So after completion of your trials and errors only you are shifted to the hospital to the live bodies. So that is about the unstructured way. So this unstructured way, in the sense totally they may not be having a scientific basis, so wise it may not be considered as a good method of gaining knowledge, even though it is providing some amount of knowledge. And another way is structured method. So again, structured method is subdivided into logical reasoning, assembled information, problem solving, and scientific methods or research. So in that first one is logical reasoning. Logical reasoning, by the name itself, it is very clear that logic is playing here. That is, mental functioning is playing here. So here in a logical reasoning is of two types, that is inductive reasoning and deductive reasoning. So what is inductive? What is deductive? So in inductive reasoning, what is happening in the sense, from a specific thing to generalization it is happening. So specific to generalization in the sense, for example, if one child is getting admitted in the ICU and she is separated from the parents, in the sense she will be showing some kind of stress or some kind of anxiety. So we can generalize it as every child who is getting admitted without the parents or separated from the parents is showing the kind of anxiety. That is a generalization from a specific point. That is known as inductive reasoning. But in the case of deductive reasoning, it is just opposite to this inductive reasoning. Here what is happening in the sense, we will be having a general concept. That is, every child when they are separated from the parents, they will be showing some kind of anxiety. If we are taking the same example, that is the generalization. So when we are seeing a specific child who is showing some kind of anxiety in the ICU, we can specifyly or we can deductively think it as, yes, generally it is like that. Generally all the children will be showing this kind of anxiety. So why is this specific child is also showing? So that is the deductive reasoning. The next one is assembled information. So in the case of assembled information, some information from authorities or from the government or from any other source, they will be collecting the information, they will be assembling the information generally, and this information can be used by the other people. For example, nowadays in a COVID-19 situation, our government have collected, our government is doing the testing of COVID-19, and also they will be analyzing the results or analyzing the number of persons who is tested as positive, and they will be announcing the result, and every evening they will be announcing the results. So at that time, that is an assembled information. From that results we can able to identify. So in that that dissemination, that communication, they will be giving that this many people have affected with COVID-19 disease or tested positive as COVID-19 virus or coronavirus, and in each district it is like that. So when we are getting the idea of each district, we can able to identify in our place how many number of people are getting affected, how oftenly it is affecting, what is the occurrence rate, and how we have to take the prevention precautions, everything. So that is the assembled information, and again it is also having a scientific basis. Then problem solving. So problem solving in our daily life or day-to-day life, we are coming across with many problems and we are solving the problems. Again, in a case of so this problem solving is having a method and it will be having a scientific basis. The step-by-step procedures will be there. For example, making of your care plan even. So in care plan formulation, we will be finding the problem. As a diagnosis, we will be finding a problem with the patient, and this for solving the problem, we will be setting some objectives and or goals will be setting, and according to the goals, some interventions will be planned, and according to this planning, we will be implementing the procedures or interventions can be implemented, and whether this implementation is effective or what, it can be evaluated. That is a problem solving method. So when we are taking up so many of the steps, and out of this so many steps, in which step the patient is getting solved with the problem, it should be assessed. That is the problem solving method. It is also having step-by-step procedures and a way of steps. Then next one is scientific methods or research. So again, the research is another method. It is also having a scientific proof, or they will be following some basic principles, rules and regulations. So wise, it is also a structured way. So these are the main methods of gaining knowledge in the case of not only in the case of nurses, in average, generally for all will be we can able to attain the knowledge by these methods. So next we are moving on to research. So what is research? Not the nursing research. What is research? Generally, what is research? The definition and purpose. So mainly the research word is derived from a French word that is recherche, which is having a prefix re, which means once again or repeatedly, and search means enquiry. So repeatedly when we are doing the enquiries or when we are searching for a solution, that is known as research. So definition for research. Research is a systematic and scientific process to answer to questions about the facts and relationship between the facts. So research is a systematic and scientific process. Systematic in the sense they will be forming some order, they will be having some step-by-step format. So that is a systematic way of doing. Systematic and scientific process. Scientific in the sense based on certain scientific theories or science-based theories. That is scientific process to answer to the questions about the facts. So it will be why we are doing this process, why we are doing the step-by-step way of doing, in the sense we have to get some answer to the unknown questions which will be unanswered. The questions will be unanswered. So we are finding answer to the unanswered questions. So here for upon which condition or upon which facts we are finding the answer. So in that mainly the facts in the sense they will be having in every sentence or every problem, they will be having some cause and an effect. For example, if we are stating that smoking causes cancer, so they will be having two things, cause and effect. Here cause is smoking, effect is cancer. So we have to find, these are the facts in a question, or these are the facts whether smoking is causing the cancer. That is a question. So in this question they will be having two things, cause and effect is there. So we have to, that are the facts inside this question, and we have to find the relationship between the facts, whether there is any relation between the smoking and cancer, whether actually the smoking causes cancer or the smoking is only the cause of cancer. Likewise, we have to find the answer. So many questions can be arrived from a single question, single unknown answer. So that is the definition, first definition given to the research. And another one is an activity involved in seeking answer to unanswered questions. It is very clear and very simple one. It is a seeking of answer to unanswered questions. And another one is research seeks to generate an answer to the problem as well as suggesting additional questions in need of further inquiry. So when we want to get an answer to the problem, and through the research we can get the answer, but after getting this answer we'll be thinking that, so if we are for example, if we are finding the causes of cancer and we have found that the smoking is one of the cause of cancer, and if we are finally after the research or after the inquiry we are finalizing the result as smoking is a cause of cancer, it will be giving or it will be adding another questions upon this conclusion whether the smoking is the only cause of cancer. Likewise, additional questions can be arised, that is the suggestion for another research study. So every time when we are doing the research, it will be giving a suggestion for or giving the additional questions which will be needed further inquiry. So these are the main and the simple definition in case of research. Next we are moving on to the purposes of research. Purposes in the sense why we want to conduct the research. In that, first one is description. So description in the sense explanation or describing. So whenever we are doing the research, we can able to describe the facts that is undergone in the research. Then exploration in the sense we will be revealing something, we will be finding the answer for an unanswered question. So unknown questions will be there or unknown answers will be there, we are revealing these unknown answers. Then explanation. So while we are doing the research, we can able to explain each and every facts very clearly. If we are finding the answer, finding the cause of cancer, and we have found that the smoking is a prior cause of cancer, in the sense we can able to explain that what are the ill effects of smoking and how these ill effects will be causing the cancer, that is explanation. Then next is prediction. In a case of prediction, we can able to predict the idea. So predict the idea. If there is a prediction only, we can go on. If we want to conduct the research, if we are having a question, upon that question we have to have a prediction of an answer. So whether the prediction is correct or what, that only we are going to check or search of. So that is the prediction. So in a case of, again I am giving the same example, in a case of smoking causes cancer, here we know that is an unanswered question, what are the causes of cancer. You just suppose it is an unanswered question. So in that we can found that smoking, we will be thinking that smoking may be the cause of cancer, that is a prediction. So upon this prediction only we are checking whether the smoking is causing the cancer. So that is prediction. Next is control. So in a case of control, we can able to control various factors which is involved in the research, as well as they may be having some external factors also. So in somewhat extent the external factors also can be controlled. So for example, if we want to study the effect of online classes or effect of online classes during this COVID-19 pandemic, that is our study. So during this situation, when we are studying this, you can collect the data from these people, that is children or students, and even though when we are collecting the data, some external factors like rainy day may be obstructing your data collection. So during that time we can control the rainy day, so we can avoid the rainy day, and likewise in a pleasant days only we can go with the data collection process. Or else we can find network issues that is faced by the students during the online classes. Again in the same situation is arising, here also we can control the rain and the wind, all those things, and we can avoid those days with the network issues which will be giving varied results. So that is a control. We have to have a power of control over the external as well as the internal facts. Next one is prescription. So prescription in the sense, the literal meaning of prescription is recommendation or a suggestion. So while we are doing the research, we will be getting the time or we will be getting the suggestion to do the other research, and a new unanswered question will be arised out of a research. That is a prescription or suggestion. Next one is identification of relationship of the facts. Mainly the relationship between cause and effect can be identified by doing the research. So these are the main purposes of research: description, exploration, explanation, prediction, control, prescription, identification of relationship between the facts. Next we are moving on to the scientific methods. So before going to the scientific method steps, we have to know what is scientific method and what are the main characteristics of a scientific method. So scientific method, it is a controlled systematic investigation that are rooted in objective reality and that aim to develop general knowledge about the natural phenomena. So it is a controlled systematic investigation. So under the controlled conditions we are doing, under the case of certain same like conditions we are doing in a systematic way, that is in an orderly form or in a step by step manner. We are doing some observations or investigations, and these investigations will be rooted in objective reality. Only observed things only we will be taking into consideration. So from that person or from this person what we are hearing, it may not be taken into consideration what we are going to observe, what we are finding out. It is only taken into consideration, and likewise we will be getting some idea about a phenomena. So that is known as scientific method. So in our plus 2 classes and all, we will be doing in a laboratory. In laboratory we will be doing so many investigations, so many experiments were conducted. So at that time, in the controlled conditions, laboratory is a controlled condition without, they may not be obstructed with any kind of other situations, and what we are getting, the result what we are getting, how we are observing the tissues under the microscope, how our eyes are observing the tissues, only that only we are believing. So that is the scientific method of doing. So while we are seeing the cells and while we are observing the components of the cells only, we will be getting an idea about the cell structure. So that is the definition for a scientific method. Next is the characteristics of a scientific method. So it is an orderly and systematic process. So it is a repeated thing, orderly and in an order or a systematic, that is a step-by-step process it will be carried out. Then next one is attempt to control the external factors. They may be having an attempt to control the external factors. So we'll be trying to control the external factors. As if I told, if we want to study the network issues during the online classes, we have to control the external factors. The raining is an external factor, so the rainy day has to be avoided for controlling the external effects of network issues. So it should be avoided, and in a normal day how the network is playing, how it is, whether it is a good thing or a good one or a bad one, it should be identified. So that is the attempt to control the external factors. Next one is empirical based findings. Empirical in the sense observation or objective, that is empirical based findings. So it will be rely only on the empirical basis, that is observation that we are making by our own. Then next one is generalized findings. So whatever findings, whatever answer we are getting, it should be generalized. It should not be specific to the condition. It should be generalized to all of the same conditions. Then based on assumptions or hypothesis. So based on assumptions, we will be assuming some answer or we will be predicting some answer. So based on these predictions, we'll be moving on to the another steps. So some predictions or expectations should be there for conducting the scientific method of study. Next one is conducted to develop or test theories. So mainly the researchers or scientific method is conducted to test the theories or develop the theories. So to test the theories, for example, we all know there is a gravitational force in our earth. So for for finding this for testing the gravitational force, we want to put a pen, we want to drop a pen from a height. So the pen will be coming down and it will be showing that there is a gravitational force. So whenever and wherever we are doing some inquiry, it will be for testing the theories or based on the theories, and also to develop some theories. So already they may be having a basis, a theory basis, and upon this basis we can modify other theories. So these theories can be other steps, other higher theory can be identified or developed by doing continuous inquiries. So these are the main characteristics, and nextly we are moving on to the steps of scientific method. Here first step is selecting the topic and identifying the problem. So firstly we have to identify the unanswered question, or a problem has to be identified. So for identifying this problem we have to select a topic. So in a case of nursing, what all the topics will be there and which is the topic of interest to the researcher. So the person who is going for doing the study should have certain interest. So based on their interest, if we are selecting the topic, it will be well and good. That is, the topic has to be selected, and out of this topic what is the major problem of concern, it should be identified. Then defining the objectives of the study. So as like every situation we have to formulate some objective, aim has to be formulated, and after getting this aim only, after getting the objective only, based on the objective we can move forward. Then reviewing the literature. What is reviewing of literature? In the sense, when we are finding a problem, sometimes some problems may be unanswered to us or unknown to us only, but to the world it may be well known. So what is the problem for the other people? Actually the problem that is identified by us, upon that what is the opinion of others, it should be identified. So from various sources, from the books, from the journals, from the newspapers, and from various media, from internet facilities, we will be collecting something, some literatures that is related to the particular problem, and we have to go through with these literatures and we have to conclude that this may be the last finding. So the solution or a summary of all the literature that we have read out, it should be quoted there. That is the reviewing the literature. So by reviewing the literature we will be getting an idea. So this was the problem, and this problem was addressed by this person in this way, so this is a good method, or this person should have done like this. Likewise we will be getting some idea about a particular problem or particular study. So our study will be more good. Then next one is defining the concepts and variables. So upon which concepts we are doing the study, or upon which facts we are doing the study, that has to be understood. So all the facts, all the causes, all the effects of the cause and effects which will be included in a problem, it should be identified and defined clearly. Then stating the hypothesis, we have to make some predictions, that is the hypothesis. So based on this prediction only we are going to conduct the study. If we are having some expectation only, towards that expectation whether it is reaching or what, it should be tested. So that is the stating hypothesis. Next one is identifying assumptions and implications. So identifying assumptions in the sense, we have to have certain expectations. In a case, for example, in a case of network issues during the online classes, that may be the problem for us, and while we are inquiring about the problem, we have to have an assumption that most of the children or most of the students, 50% of students are experiencing the network issues, or all the idea users is having the network issues. Likewise we will be having our own assumptions. That is the assumption. And implication in the sense, after getting the findings, these findings whether it can be applicable to which all the area, what are the area the finding can be applicable, whether it is only applicable to the nursing practice, or only applicable to the nursing education, or in the college of nursing, or in a nursing administration department, where it is actually applicable. That is the implication of a study. Then next is determining ethical implication. So determining ethical implication in the sense, ethics in the sense some rights. So every individual is having their own rights, and so otherwise the keeping of or maintenance of these rights is very necessary for the human being. So we should not be partial to anybody, and we should not show any partiality. So wise, when we are doing anything, any intervention or any new treatment measures are introduced to a group of students or group of people, in the sense the same kind of situation has to be given to the another group also. So when in the comparison studies and all, they may be having two group of samples, and both the samples has to get the same kind of situation. But in one group, during our study time, will be doing the study and we will be administering this intervention. But after the study situation and study time, we will be giving the intervention to the other group. For example, in the case of energy drink, we will be having an advertisement that after having the Horlicks energy drink, some kind of people, they have conducted a research over some group of students, and they have found that the group of students who have taken this Horlicks energy drink grown up and put weight, and also their muscle strength is much more when compared to the other group who is not receiving the energy drink. So in such a situation, when we are giving this energy drink only for the study samples who were there in the research, it may be very having very ethical concern. But after the study time, after the definite period of time of study, we can administer the same kind of drink to the another group also. So why is this ethical problem can be solved? That is the ethical implication. So what are the ethical concerns will be arising while conducting this study? It should be determined, and according to that we have to give suggestions for safeguard the pupils. Next one is describing the research design and methods for data collection. So we'll be having so many kind of research design. Designs will be so many kind, quantitative, qualitative. Under the quantitative, so many types of researchers are there. Under the qualitative also, so many kind of researchers are there. So in later on chapters, you will be detailedly dealing with all those things. So I'm not not describing now. And methods for data collection. What are the methods we'll be doing for data collection, whether it is observation or by doing interview, or it is just a filling of questionnaire. What is a kind of data collection? Then next is defining study population and sample. So study population in the sense entire set of people who is involved in a group. In that group, particular group is known as population. In the case of children who is going to undergone with the Horlicks administration, in that the population is a group of children who is in between the particular age group. But in the case of sample who is accessible to us, and from this accessible population who are all being selected for drinking the Horlicks, that is known as samples. Next is planning the data analysis and discussion. After completion of data collection, we have to analyze the data, we have to organize the data, we have to code the data, and we have to finalize the solution for the particular problem. So by doing the statistical methods, we will be analyzing the data, and finally we will be concluding that these peoples will be getting more height than the other people. Likewise, that is the finalization, that is the analysis of data. And in a discussion, what they are doing in the sense, after analysis we will be interpreting the results. That is, we in a different way we will be describing the results in the form of tables, in the form of graphs or pie diagram. Likewise, in an attractive manner, by a look itself, the reader has to be understood. Likewise, they will be interpreting the results, and they will be doing some discussion over there. So that is the discussion in the sense, in this study it is like that, but in another study which will be conducted, it have given this way. So the both studies, so in both studies it will be given almost the same result, so wise it can be generalized. Likewise, that is a discussion. They will be discussing only, not only in my study it is like that, in another studies also they have shown the same results. That is the discussion phase. Then data collection. After so here planning the data analysis and discussion, plan is making. Only the plan is making in the step of planning the data analysis and discussion. And after the completion of the planning phase, we will be going to the field for data collection. So we will be collecting the data. After collecting the data, data analysis and interpretation. After analysis or analyzing the data, we will be interpreting the results in an attractive way and after that we will be going to communicate the findings of the study. The communication of the study findings can be in a different way, that is in the form of any publications or in the form of any presentation we can communicate the findings. So these are the main steps of scientific methods. Next we are moving on to the characteristics of a good research. So it is a simple one, the same points only repeating. So first one is orderly and systematic process. A research is said to be good when it is orderly and systematic process, and it should be based on the current professional issues. So many professional issues or so many issues in each profession, not only in the nursing profession, no, all the professions they may be facing so many issues. So what is the current issue? If the current issue only, if we are addressing the current issue only, there may be other readers can be having some interest to find out the solution. So that is the current professional issues. Then begin with clearly defined purposes. We have to have an objective or purposes, then only based on the purpose we can move on. Then emphasize to develop, refine and expand the professional knowledge. So as we know, it is a method of knowledge acquiring. So we can able to develop our knowledge, refine our knowledge, expand our body of knowledge. Then directed towards development or testing the theories. So it is mainly directed towards the development of theories as well as the testing of theories. Already we have discussed these points. Then finding the solution of the problem. It is giving an answer for an unanswered question. Dedicated to develop the empirical evidence. So only based on the observation will be getting the finding, and strive to collect the first hand information. Whenever we are doing this, researchers will be getting the first hand information. We are the first person who have received the information. And an objective or a logical process. It is an objective observation based process as well as the logical based. Mentally we are working a lot, that is a logical process. Next one is generate the findings to refine and improve the professional practices. So while improving the knowledge of a profession, we will be improving the practices also. In a profession, whatever practice we are practicing, all those practices can be refined as well as improved. Then use appropriate methodology. So many methodology will be there, and in that in each research's appropriate methodology should be needed, then only it is said to be good. Then conducted on representative sample. Only the representative samples should be selected. If we want to conduct the research on cardiac patient, we should not go for the pulmonology patients or any nephro patients, and only the cardiology patients should be selected. That is a representative sample. Conducted through appropriate use of methods and tools of data collection. The methods that we are conducting or the tools that we are using for data collection should be pakka. If we are using the questionnaire in the data collection, this questionnaire should be related to the issue. The question should be related to the issue. That is, the tools of data collection is appropriate. Then use of valid and reliable data collection tools. So the validity of the tool should be updated. It should not be outdated. So while using the while checking the temperature, we should not go with the olden day of procedure. Olden day of procedure in the sense a 3-bottle system, 2-bottle system. Likewise, so many bottle system have studied in a prior days. So those systems, those bottle system of checking the temperature was outdated. And nowadays we are using the spirit swab and a dry swab for wiping the thermometer, and likewise only we are going to check the temperature. So when we are using the tools, the validity of the tool should be considered. Then next is the reliability of data collection tools. Reliability in the sense the accuracy of the tool, accuracy to which the instrument is measuring the data, that is known as reliability. So when a weighing machine is there, it should be given the same reading whenever and how many times it is repeated. Also it should give the same reading in morning, evening and afternoon. If we are checking the weight of a patient, it should give the same results within a day. It should give the same results. That is reliability. We can able to believe. That is the reliability and the validity of the collection tools, data collection tools. Next is carefully recorded and reported. Whatever data we are collecting, it should be carefully recorded wherever, and whatever we are getting, it should be recorded properly and it should be reported then and there. Then adequately and appropriately analyzed. So after the data collection, it should be analyzed. The calculation should be done, and at last the finding should be finalized. Then patiently carried out. So as a research, we should not be in a hurry. We should have our own patience. We should have enough time to carry out the research. Then only we are getting good results. Then based on researchers' expertise, interest, motivation and courage. So it is definitely it is matters. So once the researcher is having some expertise, some body of knowledge, or some interest upon the study, or some motivation or some courage for going for data collection and all, only able to do the research in a good manner. Next is adequately communicated. The research should be adequately communicated to all over the world, or to the small group of individuals at least. Next we are moving on to nursing research. Definition, importance of nursing research. Definition of nursing research: it is a systematic search for knowledge about issues of importance to the nursing. So if we are doing the research something related to nursing, that is known as nursing research. So this definition have given by Pollitt and Hungler, and another definition which have been given by S.K. Sharma, Suresh K. Sharma, is scientific, systematic and orderly process to find out the solutions for the problem which will be concerned to nursing, or generating and refining the nursing knowledge to improve the quality of nursing care, nursing education and nursing administration. When we are doing the research, it should be systematic, scientific and orderly process, and the issues are related to nursing, and also our problem is related to nursing, and also when we are getting the results, these results can be improve the knowledge of nursing practice, nursing education, nursing administration. So this knowledge or this solution can be applicable in all the fields of study, or at least one of the field of study. So that is the definition given by Suresh K. Sharma. Next is importance of research in nursing. So in nursing, what is the importance of research in the sense? First one is power to nurses. The research will be giving power to nurses. So when the nurses are updating their knowledge, so while doing the researchers, nurses' knowledge will be getting updated, and when the nurses are updating their knowledge, they will be along with the medical profession growth, and also the nurses will be achieving their own standards of profession. So next one is maintain the professionalism. While knowledge is improving, we can able to maintain our professionalism. Then development of patient care. So once we are getting adequate knowledge, we can able to care the patients adequately and without any delay, and with maximum and with a good efforts we can do the patient care. And use of EBP. EBP means evidence-based practice. So what are the evidences, what are the observations we have got in the research study? These research study findings can be practiced in the in our field, our care setting, and likewise practice can be improved. Evidence-based practices can be implemented. Then results can be appropriate, cost-effective, positive patient outcome. So when we are following the research findings and we are doing the patient care, in the sense we can able to give cost-effective, positive patient outcome, because nowadays the healthcare cost is very high when compared to the other care costs, other daily life expenses. So wise, when we are doing research based findings and research based practices, whatever cost they are paying, up to that cost effective care we can able to render. That is the appropriate cost effective positive patient outcome can be achieved. Then due to rapid advancement in the medical science and technology, yes, definitely medical science and technology is growing very fastly. So along with it, it is necessary to grow. So nursing field, in the nursing field also researchers are very important, and also along with the medical field we have to have a run. Then to understand the varied dimensions of their profession. So So in which all the area we can applicable, or what are the scope of a particular profession. So in a case of nursing, in olden days, if we are thinking about the nursing, it is just the patient care only, but nowadays it is changed into nursing education, nursing administration, and various ways of nursing fields are applicable. They will be having a chance for the nurses as a forensic nursing, or airport nursing, or in the case of a nurse practitioner who is able to prescribe the medication, as in a case of doctors. So many varied dimensions are there. So while doing the researches, we are able to find out that this many dimensions, this many areas are there, the nurses can able to work. Then to study about particular situation. So definitely in whatever issues are coming across, so according to that situation we can able to go through, or we can able to study the particular situation. Next is initiate the activities to promote the desired nursing outcome. So whatever we are doing, and in a patient care, or in a case of education, if we want to get a nursing outcome, good outcome, the activities like a research is necessary to eliminate certain nursing actions. So in a priorly so many other actions were there, so many outdated procedures were there in the books and all. So these actions can be eliminated by doing new researches. For example, in our bird bath procedure, in olden days, even now also in some areas they may be practicing with the buckets, mugs and all those things. But nowadays all the nurses and we ourselves will be practicing with wet wipes. So it is very easier thing, and it is very comfortable for the patient also. So this use of dry mitten, wet mitten, all those things will be very dirty, and while seeing the mittens in the hand of a nurse, it may not be feeling good for the patients. So it can be altered, and the change is necessary. So to eliminate certain nursing actions, we can conduct the researches. Then build and expand the body of knowledge. Definitely by doing the research we can expand and develop the body of knowledge, and validate and refine existing nursing practices. Whether the existing practices are good, or is it necessary, or is it adequate, it should be validated and it should be refined. Then make healthcare efficient and cost effective. So wise we can able to through all those steps, as well as through the research, we can able to make our healthcare efficient. So these are the main importance of research in nursing. Next we are moving on to need and scope of nursing. So the needs of nursing research. To establish the scientific base of knowledge. So mainly by doing the research we will be getting some scientific base of knowledge, and it enables nurses to refine new parameters of nursing. So again, new parameters, new ideas of nursing will be getting by doing the research. Then to document the contribution of nursing to healthcare. So while documenting whatever researches we are conducted, and the findings can be documented, and these findings can be used by not only by the nurses but other professionals can be taken this particular contribution. So that is known as the contribution has to be documented clearly. Then determine the effectiveness of nursing actions. So whatever actions, whatever implementation we are doing, whatever interventions we are implementing, the effectiveness of these implementations can be determined through the researches only. When we are doing this particular implementation for more than 10 or more than 2 people only, we can able to identify that this intervention can be effective. That is determination of effectiveness of nursing actions. Then develop the theoretical framework for a clinical practice. So how we have to do the practices, what is the theory based on the practice. So in a case of cleanliness, so as nurses will be very concerned about our cleanliness and hygienic matters. So in such a situation we can term it as a Nightingale's environment theory can be the base for this cleanliness or hygiene. So that is a theoretical framework which is behind the some practices. So they may be having, we have to develop some other theoretical framework. So for that we can conduct continuous researches and enhance the skills of decision making. So while we are doing the researches, we can able to do all those activities and decision making will be very easier for us. So at that time when we are well versed with the procedures and when we are doing continuous researches, we will be able to identify what procedure is good than the other. So likewise the decision, this or that decision will be very easier. Next we are moving on to the scope and areas of nursing research. So in the scope and areas of nursing research, it will be having many scope. So mainly these many areas are having a scope, that is clinical nursing practice, health system and care outcome, nursing education, nursing administration. So in clinical nursing practice, for the efficient and effective nursing care, it should be necessary to conduct the researches. While doing the researches only, what intervention is effective or what kind of procedure is effective, what may be the steps of procedure should be added, what is the steps of procedure should be eliminated, all those things can be identified, and likewise we can refine the knowledge in the nursing practice. And also in the case of health system and care outcome, in the health system, totally in the health system, that is in the medical field, we can have so many technology developments, so many medical science advancements will be there. So if we want to understand all those things, in the sense our knowledge has to be updated. So wise we should able to understand all the systems which will be carried out in the setup, as well as the outcome. Based on that systems which will be implemented, what is the outcome that we are getting, whether it is a positive outcome or a negative outcome, that should be taken into consideration. That is another scope. Outcome has to be evaluated. Then next is nursing education. In the field of nursing education, in which way the teachers has to be taken the lectures, or the portions have been completed in which manner, whether the practice is needed more than the theory hours. When the theory, what are the portions should be included in the theory session, what are the subjects should be included in each year of course. So all those things can be decided through the nursing research. Next is nursing administration. Administration in the sense overall authorities of nurses. So from this administration department only it will be coming the policies, protocols and the procedure manuals for the nursing department to function. So for identifying or for determining this many things, the nursing research is needed and authority expertise is needed. So when they are getting their own proficiency and their own expertise, they can able to determine the procedures in a good manner, and they may be updating their knowledge also. So these are the scope of nursing research and areas of nursing research. Is it clear? So next we are moving on to the basic research terminologies. In basic research terminologies, there are so many terminologies that are it is very useful for the further studies of the research, and without knowing these terms we can't able to move forward. So let's see. That first one is abstract. So what is abstract? In the sense, when we are referring the journals and all, we'll be getting a summary of the particular study or a particular feature. So that is that abstract. It is a clear, concise summary that communicates the essential information about the study. In research journals, it is usually located at the beginning of an article. So whenever an article starts, in a separate column they have given the summary. So even if we are buying the new literature books and all, in that particular pages they have given the first itself of that book, it may be given the summary of that story or a literature. So that is known as abstract. And next one is data. So data, in the sense, it's a units of information or any statistics, facts, figures or general material, evidence or knowledge collected during the course of the study. So while we are doing the study, whatever informations, in whatever form that we are collecting, that is known as data. So in whichever studies and whatever we are collecting, it can be the facts or any kind of figures or any kind of general materials or evidences or knowledge, whatever it may be, what is collected by this researcher, that is known as data. Next we are moving on to the variables. Variables in the sense it is a characteristics or attributes that can have more than one value such as height or weight. Then variables are qualities or quantities, properties or characteristics of people, things or situations that change or vary. So in variables, so what variables in the sense the facts or based on which thing we are doing the research, that is known as the variable. In some studies we may be studying about the character of a particular individual or character of a particular society. So these characteristics are known as the variables, or else we will be collecting the data according to the data that is something related to the knowledge or awareness. So this awareness or knowledge is the variable. Or in a case of a for example, if we are doing a study effects of smoking on the occurrence of cancer, that may be the study in the sense in that smoking is a variable as well as the cancer occurrence of cancer is another variable. So whatever based on and upon which thing, which character, which quality, which quantity we are doing the study, it is known as variable. So when we are coming deeply inside the variables are of different types: independent variable, research variable, demographic variables, extraneous variables. So here independent variable. What is independent variable in the sense? Variables that are purposely manipulated or changed by the researcher. It is also known as manipulated variable. So independent variable in the sense without depending any other thing, the researcher is having the capacity. So if we are doing the study, the research the manipulated variable, researcher will be manipulating the variable, manipulating one character of the fact, and it will be causing some changes in the another variable, another character. So for example, if we are doing the study in the children and we are assessing the benefit of Horlicks drink. So here what we are doing, the group of children have divided into two groups, and in that one group have administrated with Horlicks energy drink. So this Horlicks is a manipulated variable here. It is independent. This Horlicks is not at all changing, but this Horlicks is having a capacity to change the other things, the other character of this children, that is height, weight, muscle strength or energy, and likewise requirements that is needed to check in that research, it will be changed due to this influence of particular manipulated variable. So that is known as this variable is having the capacity to change the other thing. It is not having any change, and but due to the administration of this particular variable, it will be changing the other character of the people. So that is known as independent variable. The next one is research variable. Research variable refers to the qualities, properties of or characteristics which are observed or measured in a natural setting without manipulating or establishing a cause and effect relationship, without doing anything. If we are doing the study in the sense, that is known as research variable. So here in some cases will be seeing the occurrence of CAD. So occurrence of CAD in the sense we will not be doing any manipulation, will not be doing nothing, and we just assessing how many number of people in a particular area is having the risk of CAD or have got the occurrence of CAD. That's all. So here research variable in the sense without manipulating or without establishing the cause and effect relationship, if we are doing the research and under the research which variable or which facts is going to be studied, that is known as research variable. Then demographic variable. Demographic variable in the sense general conditions or general character of a person or a people is known as the demographic variable. The characteristics or attributes of the study subjects such as age, gender, place of living, educational status, religion, social class, marital status, occupation, income are considered as the demographic variables. So demographic data itself, that we know already. When we are doing this care plan and all, we will be writing demographic data. The same thing is coming as a demographic variables here. Then extraneous variables are the factors that are not a part of a study but may affect the measurement of the study variable. Again, I am taking the same example. If we want to assess the effectiveness of online class or network issues during the online class, these are the study we are going to do in the sense. So, if we are considering effectiveness of online class, so and we are assessing the people from third year BSc nursing, and out of that all the 60 are taken as a samples, and 10 each day we will be assessing 10 members for the study. And likewise, if we are doing, and at last towards the last 10, and already these 10 members are doing effectively, all the classes are attending attended by these people, and they'll be doing very good, in a very good manner they are doing. But when we are doing the assessment, it is a rainy day, so this raining will be affecting this study results. So they may not be showing that much effectiveness during their performance, because they may not be getting the good network connections, and likewise it may be affecting their effectiveness. So that is the thing. This variable is not at all involved in the study, but this may affect the result of the study or result of the measurement. So it should not be happen, and to the maximum extent we have to control the extraneous variable. So if we are finding that this is a rainy day and it may not be able to get the effectiveness, in the sense we can postpone this particular study to the another day, and without raining or without having any kind of effect, that is any kind of extraneous variables, we can do the study in a perfect manner. That is known as extraneous variable. That is about the variables. Next, we are moving on to the operational definition. So what is operational definitions? In the sense, it refers to the way in which the researcher defines the variables under investigation. So operational definitions are stated in such a way by the investigator, specifying how the study variables will be measured in the actual research situation. Here how we are going to do the investigation, and here if we are doing a study with with the effectiveness of energy drink Horlicks, or effectiveness of this online teaching, that is our study. In the sense, we have to give the operational definition for each and every word that in the statement of the study. So here effectiveness has to be defined, and how you are going to assess the effectiveness only in regarding to this study, what you are going to do. So based upon that situation, we have to give a definition for this particular situation, particular words. So here, what is online teaching? Online teaching can be defined as the teaching that can be used by the social connections like Google Meet or Zoom platform as related to the COVID-19 pandemic. That may be the definition for online teaching, because without this pandemic situation also we can do this online teaching and all. But why we are assessing the situation, in the sense, as it is a pandemic condition only we are doing this online teaching. So it should be mentioned here. Why? Why, in the sense, how it have been going, what is the necessity of this online teaching here. So that should be mentioned over there. So that is known as operational definition. Next one is concept. Concept refers to a mental idea of a phenomenon. So how we are thinking about a phenomena, that is known as a concept. Concepts are the words or the terms that symbolize some aspects of reality. So if we are terming the word love, what is a concept which will be coming to our mind? That is known as a concept. What is the thought that is coming to our mind? Pain. So what may be the thought that is coming to our mind? It may be a screaming, or it may be a large cry. So that is the pain. Pain concept to our mind. So it should be a mental idea of a phenomenon. That is known as concept. Next one is construct. Construct is a highly abstract and a complex phenomenon which is denoted by made up or constructed term. A construct term is used to indicate a phenomena that cannot be directly observed but must be inferred by certain concrete or less abstract indicators of the phenomena. Example, self-esteem. In the case of respect or a self-esteem, self-actualization, we know each thing, each word is differ from each other, and we know for each word they will be having their own peculiarity, but we can't able to touch or feel the term. So that is known as a touch. We can't able to touch and feel, but there is a respect, or there is a love, there is a self-esteem, or there is a self-actualization. All those things are there. So that is known as a construct. Next is conceptual framework. Interrelated concepts or abstractions that are assembled together in some rational scheme by virtue of their relevance to a common theme. It is also referred to as theoretical framework. So here what is happening in the sense, these concepts, so in our study, from starting to the end, so many concepts are there, and these concepts will be connected each other. So these connections, how we are, based on which theory or based on the which aspects, which concept we are doing our study, that is here conceptual framework. Here what is happening in the sense, in a theoretical framework, if we are taking the theory of Nightingale's environmental theory, so here Nightingale have stated that environment cleanliness or environmental hygiene is most important thing, and ventilation is necessary for the wellness of a people. So if we are doing a study upon that, or a study based on this concept, or if we are going to study the need of hygienic matters in the COVID-19 pandemic, so we can make this Nightingale's theory as a basis, and a hygienic system or hygiene is matters. So based on that theory we can state our concept, and we can clear out all the doubts upon that. So that is known as conceptual framework. So here will be each and every concept what we are doing in this steps of the study, it will be interrelated. That is known as conceptual framework. Next is assumption. So assumption is a basic principle that is being true on the basis of logic or a reason without proof or verification. Without having any proof or verification, we are assuming that what we are stating is true. If we are stating that online classes are very beneficial than the offline classes, that we are thinking that it is a true phenomenon, true. So why, in the sense we can't able to prove that, so or they'll not be having any verified things and all. But even though we can state, we can have a statement like that, or assuming, we can assume like that. That is known as assumption. Next one is hypothesis. Hypothesis is a statement of predicted relationship between two or more variables in a research study, an educated or calculated guess by the researcher. So here what is happening in a hypothesis, they'll be having difference from the assumption. In assumption we are assuming that what we are stating, it is a true thing, but in the case of hypothesis we will be predicting something. We can't say it is a true phenomenon, but we are predicting or expecting something. So only a prediction is there, and we are trying whether this prediction is true or false. So that is our study, and most commonly we'll be doing the hypothesis, we'll be formulating the hypothesis by stating the relationship between two variables that is undergone the study. Next is review of literature or literature review. A critical summary or research on a topic of interest, generally prepared to put a research problem in context, or to identify gaps or weakness in prior studies so as to justify a new investigation. So what is a review of literature? In the sense, a critical summary of a research or a topic of interest, what already have mentioned in many of the other studies, or many others have done the studies based on studies regarding to the same subjects, and upon that studies what is their opinion, what was the method they have used, and what is the positiveness and what is the negatives they have affected. All those things will be going in a review, and after getting all those ideas we will be put it as a summary. So altogether a summarization of so many studies will be coming here, and it may be very helpful for the further investigation upon the same topic. Then next one is limitations. Limitations in the sense restrictions in a study that may decrease the credibility or generalizability of the research findings. So limitations in the sense some drawbacks. Already we have we are doing the study, even though we'll be getting some drawbacks over there. So these drawbacks, due to these drawbacks, they may be having the limited credibility. Limited credibility in the sense reliability of the study may be queried, as well as the generalizability of the study can be questioned. So generalizability in the sense the ability to generalize the findings to the all over the world. So if we are having so many drawbacks, or if our study is having so many negative part in the sense we can't able to generalize the study for all the people in the world. So it may be affecting our generalizability of the study. So whenever we are starting the study, by the review of literature itself, we will be limiting the limitations, and then only will be doing the study. So even though these limitations are more in the sense, we should not go for this generalization of the study findings. Then next one is manipulation. Manipulation in the sense an intervention or treatment that is introduced by the researcher in an experimental or quasi-experimental study. The researcher manipulates the independent variable to assess its impact on the dependent variable. Here, manipulation in the sense that new treatment that is introduced in the study samples, that is known as manipulation. So here what they are doing in the sense, in a common people, they will be as their daily life settings, they will be doing in a same manner, but additional to that, whatever finding we are adding additionally, that is known as a manipulation, will be changing some behavior of an individual. For example, if we are doing the study of effectiveness of the Horlicks drink among the children, will be dividing these children into two groups, and one group only will be getting the Horlicks as an energy drink for a particular time, for a particular period of time, and after completion of this particular period of time will be assessing, reassessing their energy, their muscle strength, their height, their weight, whether there is any improvement over there, and after that only will be concluding that yes, by giving the Horlicks there is a slight improvement how visible. So likewise, if we are adding a Horlicks, it is another treatment additional to the normal life situations we are giving. We are changing the life situations, life habits, that is known as manipulation. Next one is population. The entire set of individuals or objects having the some common characteristics selected for a research study is referred to as population. Here again I am taking the same example. If you want to conduct the study of the children, all the children between the same age group is known as the population. That can be all the children in the sense totally all over the world. Whoever is there within this age group is considered as a population. So if we want to take if we want to do a study upon the cardiac patients, all the cardiac patients is coming under the population. And next one is target population, the entire population in which researchers are interested and to which they would like to generalize the research findings. So target population in the sense, if I am doing a study, if I am doing a study under the cardiac patients, on the cardiac patients in the sense, all the cardiac patients will be taken as a population, and in a target population, and I am interested to do the study in Al Shifa hospital in the sense, all the cardiac patients who are admitted in the Al Shifa hospital is taken as the target population. And what is accessible population? So from this target population, the aggregate of cases that conform to designated inclusion or exclusion criteria and that are accessible as subjects of the study. So here accessible population in the sense who are all accessible to me as a researcher, who are all accessible to me, that is known as the accessible population. So I have taken all the cardiac patients admitted in the Al Shifa hospital as the target population, and out of this target population, whomever is there when I am going to take the I am going to conduct the study, that may be my accessible population. And also they may be having severe patients who cannot able to answer or who cannot be able to at least to give any answers and all, or some may be in a ventilator, they may not be conscious, likewise some peoples may be there. So all those peoples which can't be included in my study can be excluded with respect to some inclusion criteria and exclusion criteria. Inclusion criteria in the sense who may be included in the study, exclusion in the sense who may not be included in the study, that is who can be avoided from the study, that is inclusion and exclusion criteria. So based on these criteria, who can be accessible by the researcher, that is known as accessible population. Next is research setting. So research setting, in which area, which setting, which location we are going to conduct the research is known as research setting, and it could be a natural, partially controlled environment or laboratories. Natural in the sense to the community area, or without having any manipulation or without having anything we can do the study, that is natural setting. If we want to study in a home setup and their practices in the sense towards the home itself we have to enter, and in their natural practices we can assume we can assess the person. And if we want to assess in a partially controlled environment, if we want to do a study in a hospital setup, it can be a partially controlled environment, and in a laboratory, completely closed building and all the extraneous variables can be avoided if it is in a laboratory settings. And next one is sample. Sample in the sense a part or a subset of population selected to participate in the study, in the research study, is known as sample. So already we have mentioned about the population, target population, accessible populations, and from this accessible population, with various methods of sampling, with various methods will be selecting some peoples. If we have 60 as the accessible population, and from the 60 we have selected only 10 people as a sample, as a study participants, in the sense it is known as sample. It may be with any of the sampling techniques, that is sampling is a process of selection of samples. So it can be with many of the technique, it can be by lottery method, so with the lot method we can able to select the samples, or with a computer generated system, or with any if I am taking the samples from your class, all the 60 will be there in a register, and from the register I'll be picking first 10 members, that is a kind of sampling. And if I am if I am putting the lotteries, all the 60 names will be taken into the lots, and the lots will be selected, the 10 lots will be selected, and these 10 members can be included in the study. Or else we can select all the hostlers from your class. Likewise, various techniques of sampling will be there, and according to sampling is a process of selection of samples. Okay. Next is reliability. Reliability in the sense the degree of consistency or accuracy with which an instrument measures the attributes it is designed to measure. If you want to measure the weight, in the sense weight itself is measured, that is known as degree of accuracy. And also if you are if you are using the weighing scale, and if it is measuring the weight from morning, evening and afternoon, if you are checking the weight itself, also the same weight has to be given. That is the degree of accuracy or consistency of a instrument. Then validity, the degree to which an instrument what it is intended to measure. So if you want to take the weight, you have to use a weighing scale, and by using the weighing scale only the weight has to be measured, or else for weighing or for taking the weight we should not go for the other scales such as the height manometer or height machines and all. Okay, so that is known as validity. Then pilot study, miniature of a main study and study or the study carried out at the end of the planning phase of a research in order to explore or test the research elements to make relevant modifications in the research tools and methodology. So miniature of a main study is known as the pilot study, and whatever we are planned for a main study, all those things will be replicated in the repeated in the pilot study. So while doing the pilot study, we can able to assess whether there is a practical difficulty while conducting the main study, and if there is any practical difficulties, we can modify the tools or methodology of the main study. Then analysis in the sense method of organizing, sorting and scrutinizing the data in such a way that the research question can be answered or meaningful inferences can be drawn. So research analysis in the sense whatever data we are collecting, it can be in the form of a qualitative data or in the form of an information or in the form of a answer to a questionnaire. So all those things has to be sorted and scrutinized and scored effectively, and it can be changed into the quantitative way or a numerical way, and likewise we can conclude the total score of a person from the particular assessment. So likewise we can conclude the study or analyze the study data. So that is known as analysis of a analysis part. By using the statistical method, we will be doing the analysis. Next, we are moving on to the research process. While we are going to the research process, mainly our researchers are of two types, that are quantitative research process and a qualitative research process. So in quantitative research process, there are mainly 5 stages or 5 phases. In that, first phase is conceptual phase, second phase is the design and planning phase, third phase is empirical phase, and fourth phase is analytical phase, and fifth one is dissemination phase. In that, first one is conceptual phase. In conceptual phase itself, there are five stages: formulating and delimiting the problem. First, we have to identify the problem, that is the formulating or delimiting the problem. So here, what is the problem we have to search for, and what is the unanswered question we have to get an answer. It should be identified. And second step is reviewing the literature. Already we have stated that what is review of literature. So by getting the question itself, upon that question, how many people have done the researches, and what is their opinion over the particular problem, and what may be done in this particular problem, what is the improved way of doing the problem solution for identifying the solution. All those things can be reviewed, and undertaking the clinical field work, and we can able to by reviewing the literature, we can confirm that in which area will be very perfect for the particular study. That is undertaking the clinical field work, whether Al Shifa Hospital or Maulana Hospital is a perfect setting for the particular study. It should be identified. That is the undertaking clinical field work. So in which area we have to do, it can be whether if we want to get the study in a perfect manner, in which area we have to select. That is clinical field work. Roughly will be evaluating the field study. Then developing the theoretical framework, we have to confirm a theory basis, and theory based upon a theory only we can formulate our framework, and we can formulate our steps of the study. So wise we have to have a base for the study. Then formulating the hypothesis, we have to predict something, and based on this prediction, and we have to check whether the prediction is true or false. That is the hypothesis formulation. This is the first phase of study, conceptual phase. Then second phase is design and planning phase. The name itself, it is clear that some designs will be selected here and planning session will be conducted here. So in that, first one is selecting the research design, in which design we are going to do the research. So many designs will be there. In later on chapters we will be going with the research designs and all. And developing the intervention protocols. So how we are going to manipulate our interventions, or how we are introducing our interventions or treatment. If we want not to administer the Horlicks drink, in the sense how we are selecting the individuals and how we are going to administer the Horlicks. For all the children we are giving the Horlicks, or how before giving the Horlicks, whether we want to check anything else, their height, weight, all those things, whether we want to check before administration or only after the administration only we are taking the all those measurements, all those things, how we are going to introduce our intervention, that is the developing intervention protocols. The protocols for the intervention has to be developed. Then identifying the population. So here population, upon which group of people we are doing the study, that is identifying the population, whether it is a adult group or whether it is a children or a cardiac patients or a CVA patients, in which group we are going to do the study. Then designing the sampling plan, how we are selecting, how. So we need only small size of people, so small size of population only needed. So total entire population cannot be able to assess. So wise, how from this population how we are going to select the samples, that is a sampling plan. Then specifying the methods to measure the research variables, how we are going to measure the research variables, what is the score it has to be given, in which all the area, which all the tools we are going to use. Then developing methods to safeguard the subjects, that is ethical consideration has to be developed. Then finalizing the research plan, at last research plan will be finalized. So that is the second phase, design and planning phase. So entire planning should be completed in the second phase of the research process. So that is design and planning phase. Third phase is empirical phase. Empirical in the sense it is something observation. So here itself, by the term itself, it is clear that we are going to observe, we are going to collect the data. So in that first step is collecting the data, and second step is preparing the data for analysis. After getting the data, it should be calculated. The statistical analysis has to be performed. So for that, the data has to be sorted and organized. So the data should be prepared for analysis. The next one, analytical phase. So here it is very clear that here only we are doing the calculations. Here only we are doing the calculations. So for calculating, how we have to organize and in what are all the steps should be there for analysis. After analysis, how we are going to represent the data, represent the results, whether with the tables or whether we are using any graphs or pie diagrams. So that is interpreting the results. So interpretation of the results in the sense it should be in a simple format, and when with a look itself it should be very well understood to the readers. That is interpreting the results. That is the two steps in the fourth phase. Fourth phase is analytical phase. In that, two steps are there: analyzing the data and interpreting the results. Next one is dissemination phase. Dissemination in the sense something is spreading. So here we have to spread or communicate these findings to entire population. So here communicating the findings, the way of communication, how we are going to communicate, whether you are going to publish your data or whether any presentation have needed, anything, what is your plan upon the dissemination, that is known as the dissemination phase. And communicating that is first step is communicating the findings. So after getting the findings, these findings has to be submitted in the form of a thesis, or this thesis findings can be published in the journals and all. So by this publication itself, it can be communicated to the other people. Then utilizing the findings, and whomever is approachable to these communication methods, they can be accessible to these findings, and they can use these findings into their practice. So if we have got the finding of online teaching effectiveness, and it have confirmed that it is very effective method of teaching, in the sense to the further or to the future years, we can plan all the sessions with the online classes. That is the utilizing the findings into practice. So this is the fifth phase of quantitative research process, dissemination phase. Under that, two steps are there: communicating the findings and utilizing the findings in the practice. Next one is qualitative research process. Qualitative research process is a method of observation to gather non-numerical data. If we want to study about a particular character or particular group of people, in a case of tribes and all, tribes, still there is some group of people who are all in a thickest areas of our forest, and inside this forest all those things, all their lifestyles, all those things will be very unrevealed. So towards their lifestyle will be going, and we can collect some kind of data, or upon any social phenomena, or upon any natural settings, we can do the researches. But while doing this kind of researches, we can't able to plan and go. Before going, we can't able to know what is their reaction and how, which type of data collection is possible, because mostly in a case of tribes, even if we are taking, these tribes may be illiterate, so questionnaire may not be effective, and if we want to do the interview, their method of talking, or they should have a language. Maybe in some areas of forest, they may not be using some languages, they may be only using the sign languages like our older people. That is in our prior generations, no? Likewise, they may be using only the sign languages and all. So these languages may not be understood by us, so it may be very difficult how to plan and go. So we have to go there, and we have to assess the situation, and according to that situation we have to go for the data collection. So that is known as qualitative research process. Here what is they are doing, in the sense, firstly planning will be finding the research problem, and reviewing of literature will be doing, and after that will be going directly to the research sites, and overall developing on overall approach and ethical concerns, everything will be considered, and then only we are entering to the area of study. And after that, when we are entering to the area, after entering to the area of study only, we will be developing the data collection strategies, decide what type of data and how to gather this data, and also decide from whom we have to collect, whether it has to be collected from each and every tribes, or each and every individuals, or from the head of this tribal group. Likewise, from whom we have to collect the data, and decide how to enhance the trustworthiness. If we want, for example, if we want to study about a particular ethnicity or particular religion, if we are going and making some trustworthy relationship only, they may be ready to reveal all the data. So in a case of the sexual workers, they may not be able to, if there is a lobby, in the sense they may not be giving if we are collecting the data regarding issues of sexual workers, issues faced by the sexual workers, they may not be ready to reveal all the issues and all. But if we are making a trustworthy relationship among them, then they will be ready to share their experiences and their problems with us. So we have to decide how we will be enhancing the trustworthiness towards them. And after these plans, will be gathering and analyzing the data. So when then and there of gathering the data, will be analyzing the data, and if it is adequately collected, will be ending the data collection, or otherwise again we will be going for the further data collection. Likewise, the same thing will be returning to the data collection processes, and again we will be gathering and analyzing the data. Then after getting the adequate data, will be going for the dissemination of the findings. So that is about the qualitative research process. It is something complex in nature, and then under only the planning session can be undergone. So wise only it will be time consuming. It will be a time consuming process. So usually for the study purposes in the sense educational purposes. So if we are in a BSc nursing, if you are conducting a study as a part of your BSc nursing program, in the sense will not be able to go with this qualitative research process and all, because for your research they will be having a definite time period. time, the definite hours will be allotted. So for that you should not be able to, you can't able to go with the qualitative research process. The same like in a MSc nursing program or a PGBSc program or any PhD program, anywhere else you will be the time constrictions will be there. So as a part of educational program we can't able to go with these things, but in a general setup, and if we are having more concerns about such things, in the sense will be, if already we have stated, no, if the researcher is having interest and motivation, we can go with this qualitative research process, and with efforts it should be taken. Okay, so that is about the qualitative research process and steps of research process. Again the same thing only stating here also, planning the study and the developing the data collection strategies, gathering and analyzing the data, disseminating the findings. So after here in the planning the study, they will be telling some steps. In developing data collection strategies also, here some steps they have described, and third one is gathering and analyzing the data. Under that these many steps are there: collecting, organizing and analyzing the data, evaluating the data, and determining the saturation has been achieved, whether it is adequate or inadequate, it should be determined at last. And next one is disseminating the findings. In disseminating the findings, communicating the findings, utilizing the